It is really a pleasure to welcome you to this conference on corporate responsibility in Egypt and building on the experience from the Netherlands. In this conference, organized jointly by UNDP and the Netherlands Embassy, in partnership with the Ministry of Trade and Industry and SMEs, and the International Modernization Center, IMC, we will elaborate on a topic that is becoming increasingly important globally: corporate responsibility, or as we would call it in the Netherlands, corporate social responsibility. The social in corporate social responsibility stands for a company's responsibility in society, including its responsibilities regarding people, planet and profit issues. This also includes a focus on labor practices, environmental concerns, climate change, resource efficiency and fair operating practices.
We see a fundamental link between corporate social responsibility and economic development. We are well aware that poverty reduction, good governance, and human development can only be achieved through unleashing the potential of the private sector and tapping into the inherent innovation and resources of the private sector. A conducive and enabling environment for CSR is essential, and the importance of the role of women as advocates and beneficiaries of CSR is something that we need to pay attention to. Today's conference is building on the past experience in June that I had just mentioned, but more specifically looking at the role of the public sector in promoting CSR efforts. The need to deliver sustainable and equitable development underscores the importance of gaining a better understanding of the role of public policy in promoting CSR and its potential to contribute to the development agenda. We know that the contemporary CSR agenda is relatively immature, and the term CSR has not taken firm hold in several public sector institutions. The challenge is for government bodies to identify priorities and incentives that are meaningful and to build on existing initiatives and capacities on CSR. There is an excellent opportunity now for governments to harness the current enthusiasm for CSR alongside key public policy goals and priorities so that they can deliver promising results. We are very, very pleased in this regard to have the opportunity to hear the experience of the Netherlands, which has several decades of experience in effectively engaging with the private sector using innovative platforms and policies. And indeed, the experiences and lessons learned will be extremely valuable for the Egypt experience in promoting CSR.
Another issue I'd like to mention, which tomorrow, how would CSR, we have realized through the experience of several companies, like His Excellency mentioned, is necessarily demand-driven. It's not an idea of just having a social responsibility or philanthropy or an ethical standard alone. This can be applied to companies that have this kind of ethical or social awareness. But to expand on it, we have seen quite a dramatical impact from a demand side. When we see that companies, buyers, for example, who insist on environmental aspect, on health aspects, on workers' responsibilities and rights, and this becomes part of the contractual arrangement in doing business, and we've seen that with a big number of retailers in Europe, for example. The interesting fact is that the Egyptian companies, big or small, based on the demand aspect, comply quite effectively. We've seen that happen in the food sector. We've seen that happen quite successfully in the agricultural sector, and we've seen that happen very much in the textile and the garment sector, just to mention a few. Just to give you an idea how strict the requirements are in Europe, and I don't need to mention that, Egyptian exports in food and agriculture came up from about 2 billion Egyptian pounds in 2001, 2002. This year ending will be 40 billion Egyptian pounds. 40 billion Egyptian pounds, you cannot sell defected or products, or you cannot sell products that do not comply with EU or American or even regional standards.